The Northeast Texas Sports Network is dedicated on delivering the most entertaining sports broadcasts in East Texas. And if you're interested in having your next sporting event streamed live, visit us online at netsn.live.
And good evening, everyone. It's week 8, bEast from the East. It's your boy, Mr. NETSN, Brett Swinney. Alongside me tonight, we've got Jeremy Diamond and Mr. Red Zone OT, KO Kyle Owens. How's it going, fellas?
Good, man.
It's been
a great week, baby.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this week. Last week's interesting week of football. It's kind of rough in some patches, some good points, some bad points. But you know who I'm glad is not here tonight, guys? I'm glad that Jaren guy is not here tonight because somehow he got ahead of us all last week in the pick'ems, and we don't want to. He would just be bragging too much, fellas.
That's true. Yeah.
How did he get ahead of us?
Well, he didn't get ahead of as overall, but he did beat us for the week.
Somehow, by one game.
Somehow, I don't know how he did it. I'm not sure. Maybe one of those. Maybe I made a mistake on one of those, and you could pick like multiple teams in one pick'em, and he was able to do that somehow. I don't know, but
I bet you it was the Cayuga Carlisle game. I bet you he got that one.
Yeah, it might be. It might be.
I had my worst week yet, so it's not a good week for.
That's good.
I was solid. I had 7. I think KO, did you have 7 as well?
I did that, and I need more bad weeks from other people so I can keep climbing up the ranks here.
Well, maybe it'll work out for you. We had 2 guys that had 9 this week, so we'll give a shout to them. Chris Hyde and Tyler Williams got 9 this week. So let's give a congratulations to those guys. Nice job.
Well done.
This was another and it's been tough this year. I think maybe one 10 out of 10 all year. I mean, the parity in these picks it's been interesting. We'll go back and look now at the overall standings here. There are 5 at the top. Somebody named Mr. NETSN Brett Swinney's still at the top there, tied. We got Chad Grubbs as well. One of our other commentators is, I think he was a point behind. I think he jumped up into the pack. Also, Doug Montgomery, Jake Munoz, and Jonathan Bradshaw, the top 5 there. Let's see, where are you guys sitting? Let's see.
We're only 4 back. We're
You
only
and
4
Jeremy
back.
are tied now. Oh,
Yeah,
I got a tie.
Yeah,
Jeremy.
it was a bad week. I gave up a point to KO.
That's what I'm saying. I'm only 4 back, so we.
That's right.
I just need a couple of good weeks and a couple of bad weeks from some people, and then we'll be right up there at the top.
Okay. Well, I still don't see Jaron though. He didn't get to the top. Second page. Oh, there's Brandon. Brandon's at 48 there. Jaron's at 47. So he's right behind Brandon there. So yeah, I mean we still got lots of pick'em games to go. So not really anyone out of it yet.
And there's a lot of us clumped together right there too.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah. But it was a interesting week. Let's talk about it a little bit as we go through these picks. I thought there were some games that were kind of up in the air, and then I thought there were some that were, solid picks. Now, going to this first one, Frankston was not one of those. Frankston, man, had them live on NETSN. Jaron was out there with Jason, and an impressive win over Mildred. This district now is shaping up to be very, very interesting because of what happened in our third game. There is Carlisle beat Cayuga, and so now you've got a Frankston, Mildred, Cayuga, Carlisle, also Kearns, I think, is in that district as well. That has a good record. So you've got basically 5 teams that are fighting for 4 spots now, and I think I know Frankston's probably the best team. But after that, it is going to be a dogfight in there. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I thought that, we talked about it last week's show, but, you and I were wondering and we were all wondering if Ibarra was going to play for Carlisle. And, and I went, Cayuga on that for that reason, because I thought he was not going to play. And then you and I looked up, we were broadcasting Friday night, and we looked up and saw him in there. And I said, man, we probably picked wrong. And we looked. It was a 7-6 game super late, and then a great comeback by Carlisle to get the late score and the 2-point conversion, and to take that game 14-7.
Yeah, that was a great game over there. And it seems like everywhere we send Keith and Jason, they find those great matchups. And that was one of them. And again, that was my thinking. I mean, I think we all kind of, like Jeremy said, all kind of echoed, like we just didn't know the status of Ibarra, and we saw with what they were like without him. It just wasn't the same flow of team. And so getting him back right in time for district play, huge for Coach Baker and company. And it'll be interesting to see kind of how that makes a difference moving forward for them. And I've got their game against Frankston later in the season. I'm looking forward to getting to call that one. But this district is going to be very interesting. KO, what do you think about all this?
I wish I would have went to the Frankston Mildred game on Thursday instead of watching my Eagles' dreadful performance that night. And when I say my Eagles, I'm not talking about the Lindell Eagles. I'm talking about the Philadelphia Eagles that absolutely crapped the bed Thursday night. But that's beside the point. We're talking high school football. Frankston, on the other hand, looked great. And, we thought that game against Mildred usually has a pretty good defense. And we thought that game against Mildred would be one of the more competitive ones that Frankston played. And I guess it kind of was, but it still wasn't even competitive, 32-6 wins. So
that's because Jaron went, KO. He always goes to the blowouts.
Of course. Keith gets the good games and Jaron gets the blowouts. I got you. So don't send me with Jaron anywhere. So I love you, Jaron, but not blowouts. But then Frankston just did what they were supposed to do and went out there and dominated the game and got a big win. And then you got, Cayuga and Coach McGee over there. Shout out. He's tied with me and Jeremy for the overall lead, or not overall lead, but on the overall leaderboard with 49. So, really hung tough there and almost beat that Carlisle team. Cayuga's been close in some games this year. They're right there. They're just missing a little bit, but they're right there. And I think they can still battle for a playoff spot in this district. But like y'all mentioned, it's going to be tough with basically 5 teams battling for 4 spots. You could have a de facto district championship game in back-to-back weeks for Frankston. They play Kearns this week and then Carlisle the week after. Carlisle gets a win this week and Frankston wins this week, then they're both 2-0 playing each other in district play. So there's a lot to like in this district. And I think there's a lot of good games that, depending on how those games come out is going to decide the seeding, I think, in that district. And there's going to be a good team that's left out.
Yeah. And then you got game 2, Union Grove or City. Union Grove got the win in that game. That's another district we've talked about that's kind of clumped up there together.
It got flipped on its head this weekend a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, it sure did. It's not in our pick'ems, but we might mention it while we're here. I mean, Beckville, who struggled early, we didn't know what Beckville was going on down there in Beckville, and they have started to get rolling here as of late. Now 4-3, got a winning record going. They beat Wascom at home, and guys, I don't know what to say. I can say this: Elysian Fields is the best team in the district, but after that, I mean, it's anybody beat anybody.
Yeah, that was a surprise. I didn't see it coming.
I saw that score for the first time during red zone overtime Friday night, and I know my face was just like, whoa, what? Like that wasn't what I expected. And shout out to Coach Ross and Beckville over there. They're getting something. They figured something out. Coach Ross is a good coach, and they were struggling early on, but they figured something out that works for this team. And as long as they can keep it going, that double-digit win streak might not be so out of the question now. I know the best they could finish now would be 7-3 in the regular season, but you win 3 playoff games, then all of a sudden you've got another double-digit win season. So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, it seems like this 2A Division I, just all these districts are kind of just up in the air. Because then you've got, I don't think it was one of our pick'ems, as we'll get to here in a minute, but there's another one that was a close one that was one that was important. We had the game 3, we had Cayuga Carlisle. We talked about that one with Cayuga leading most of that game, and Carlisle scoring in the last couple of minutes there to get the win. So big win for Coach Baker. Gilmer with the win over Pittsburgh. Kyle, I got to ask you, KO. I mean, what do you think about that score?
I was wrong, and I think I mentioned it last week, I think I mentioned it last week. But yeah, they've lost to 3 really Kilgore, Chapel Hill, and Lindale. Like those are 3 of the best teams in not just in East Texas, in the state in 4A, and Gilmer lost to them. So I was thinking, teams trending in different directions. Pittsburgh had some momentum. Gilmer didn't. Gilmer proved that Gilmer is still Gilmer. Like they're not going to roll over that easy. District play, these are when the games matter, and this is when Coach Metzel is going to have the Buckeyes playing their best. So big win for Gilmer. Shout out to Coach Metzel. And now that sets up a really big matchup this Friday with Van. And I know we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I'm impressed with Gilmer to be able to shake off such a rough non-district, because even some of those games weren't competitive. The Kilgore game we talked about, and Brenham wasn't even really competitive. So for them to kind of shake that off and refocus now that it's crunch time, that's championship mentality from Gilmer.
I'm still impressed too with Pittsburgh, though. Only losing by 11 in Gilmer. I mean, years past, this was not a close game. So I think that says a lot about how close Pittsburgh is. They're not as far off the 4 or the 3 and 2 seed probably as they have been in years past. They're closer to that. So unfortunately, with them losing that game, it really lines up where they might play a team down south that first round that might be a tough opponent. They have a big red C on the side of their helmet, on the white helmets. So that's a tough one. That's how big that game was. Could you imagine if Gilmer loses that, they get the 4 seed and you have Carthage Gilmer round 1? That, ooh, man, it just shows that those kind of games are big for seeding purposes. I mean, there's a lot of difference sometimes between that 3 and 4 seed. Jeremy, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, this was definitely one that I was surprised by. I picked Pittsburgh. I thought Pittsburgh had the momentum, but again, I think, leadership, whether that's from the coaching staff or the playing, the guys on the field, that they came to play, right? Gilmer was ready to go, and that's tough, right? It's tough to shake off. Not that you haven't seen teams not do well early, but to get beat the way they did in a couple of games and to kind of shake that off and have the resolve to buck back up and come into district and make some noise is a testament to the tradition there and just the staff and the hard work those kids put in. And so, good for them. And again, for Pittsburgh, I mean, it's a loss, but it's, it shows that you're there. You've got a chance. And again, things fall a certain way. You might be in the 4. You could even end up in the 3 still. Like, there's a lot still left to do. And so by no means is Pittsburgh out of anything, but this kind of started my little tumble here on the pick'ems. I started out 2-0 and then kind of lost a few in a row, but just a big win there for Gilmer.
Well, and you're right, because Pittsburgh's not necessarily in that 4 seed or by any means, because let's say Gilmer beats Van this Friday night, then all of a sudden that Van Pittsburgh game is your 3 and 4 seed. So it's still possible Pittsburgh can avoid Carthage in the first round, but it looks like now they're going to have to beat Van in order to do that, and that's not going to be an easy task either. So that's going to be a fun district to keep up with too.
Yep, definitely. So, my first miss, actually my second miss, because I missed the Carlisle. My second miss here was this next game, game 5. Edgewood goes into Grand Saline, gets the win, 45-28. Impressive win for Edgewood. I know I've been talking about Edgewood, and I think the spoiler alert, they may have gotten a spot in my poll this week.
Me too.
I've been watching Edgewood, and they were kind of on that outside, but knocking off a Grand Saline team. That was an impressive win for Edgewood, especially the way they did it. I mean, it wasn't just they come in and won by 3 or 7. They won by 17 on the road against a solid Grand Saline team. KO, what do you think about this between these two squads?
I was impressed. I'd picked Grand Saline, obviously, and I thought them being at home kind of gave them that edge, but Edgewood, no pun intended, did not care about having to go, 7-8 miles down the road and face that Grand Saline team. It was impressive though. Trevor Golightly, their quarterback for Edgewood, he was Dave Campbell's player of the week last week for the Bulldogs. So he's a phenomenal athlete, and it's not just him. They got athletes all over the place in Edgewood, and Coach Bachtel, that's a huge win for him coming back to Edgewood again. And this is kind of the statement win, I think, this season, to go into your arch rival and beat them handily. So very impressed by Edgewood. And then that Edgewood Lone Oak game coming up in a couple of weeks is going to be a huge ball game, probably for that district title, and Edgewood's positioned themselves there. So congratulations to the Bulldogs.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, a big win for them. And, I picked that one wrong. I thought Grand Saline would have the win, and, Edgewood showed up and played out. And, again, that Lone Oak game is going to be big. Jaron and I got the opportunity to watch Lone Oak play, and they're fast. They got athletes all over the place, and they're quick. And so that would be an exciting game to watch when those two teams match up. And I think, like you said, Golightly being the player of the week, they've just got some guys. And I think I had them in my poll last week, and I did move them up in my poll this week, and on behalf of that win. And so it was an interesting, we'll get to those in a little bit, but it was an interesting poll week for sure. And so, hats off to the Bulldogs.
So that's week 11 is that game.
That's what I was about to say. To add to the intrigue, it's the last game of the season. That is awesome.
It's week 11 in Edgewood. So
that's a potential game of the week candidate, fellas.
It could be. It could be.
True.
All right. Well, let's see. Game 6, Liberty Aloe and Gladewater. Man, what a story these Gladewater Bears have been, guys. I mean, where they're sitting right now in this district, this is impressive by Coach Lewis. I mean, we say it every week, but they're a couple snaps away from being 7-0 right now. Big win for them, 46-20. The district's kind of shaping up as Atlanta also won pretty big over Sabine. Jefferson did bounce back. So this district's shaping up to be a Gladewater Atlanta district title matchup. What did you guys think about the impressiveness of this win over that? They traveled to Liberty Aloe. That's a long trek up there, guys. Liberty Aloe way up there. They closed down school early, I saw, in time for the fans and everybody that took a fan bus and went up to Liberty Aloe. And what a win for Coach Lewis. This is just one of those you say one of those storybook seasons, but you start out first year of coaching, head coach, and you take a team that last year didn't make the playoffs, and now they're looking at a district championship possibility. What do you think about this one, Jeremy? I mean, I know we've seen Gladewater play, and they're impressive.
Yeah, and again, I think we go back to, this was, I mean, the coach from the year before left kind of late, comparatively to when a lot of coaches make that decision not to come back. And so, Coach Lewis had to fight for that position, and man, he has proven himself right. And man, I just can't imagine that, I'm thinking about all those board members at Gladewater going, man, we did the right thing, right? Like, could you imagine, I mean, they've got to be like, all right, little pat on the back there for making the smart choice. And yeah, they've been impressive. I mean, again, they should be 7-0. A couple of weird plays that cost them in that game. And, but yeah, a fantastic team. I think they're well-rounded. Their defense plays really well. They're a team that I don't think anybody wants to match up with because they can do it a couple of different ways. They've got some athletes. They've got, they're just well-balanced. They can run, they can throw, they hit. They play. I mean, their special teams play has been good. I mean, it's just one of those teams that seems to be pretty solid all the way around.
This is the first time since 2021. This is the most wins they've had since 2021 in a season. So just think about that. 3 or 4 years of losing seasons, and now you're sitting here with a chance in a couple of weeks to have a district championship come back to Gladewater. And it sounds like Coach Lewis has the Bears playing old school Gladewater football. They're just going to run the ball at you and then play solid defense and make you earn every single yard. I remember when they had Dalen Mack that was at Gladewater. He was a stud defensive lineman. And that's how they did it. I remember calling a game one time where Dalen Mack ran 15 plays on offense. They just ran him the ball, little fullback dive. 3 yards, 4 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, just pounded the rock all the way down. And then he goes back out on defense and forces a fumble and gets the ball back like that. And that to me is what Gladewater is getting back to now. And I think that's the recipe for Gladewater to be successful. And I'm so happy for Coach Lewis. I love Coach Lewis. Think he's a great guy. And his boy got a pick on Friday night on ESPN2 while he was out there coaching, getting a win in Liberty Islo. Collins over in Denton making one-handed interceptions for the Mean Green. So all around great night for the Lewises over there in Gladewater.
Yeah, we'll have them against Tatum Friday night. So that game will kind of give them, I guess, set them up for that Atlanta game in a couple weeks. Also have a bye week between them, so they'll have some time to do some prep at Atlanta, and they will have to travel to Atlanta for that one. But it's looking like the way this district's shaping up that it's a 2-horse race for that district title, and then there's a few teams down below that are kind of battling it out for those last 2 spots. So we'll see how it all shapes out. Game 7. If you like points, just follow Mount Enterprise and Grapeland. KO, you were there live for the Kagan Ash experience. Tell us what it's like, because I've got him in a few weeks. So I'm going to get to see him.
It's amazing. It is unreal to watch, and it's a noticeable energy. Obviously, these 2A Division II schools aren't very big stadiums, right? They're not going to be large, but there's people lined up around the fences at Mount Enterprise just to watch this man put on a show. Obviously, support the Wildcats, but you're there for the Kagan Ash experience. And I said this on Overtime. He was our player spotlight player for KLTV last week, and there's a lot of times that we hype these guys up, and they go out there and they have a good game, right? But they don't live up to the hype that we hyped them up to. A lot of talk this week about Kagan, and not only did he live up to it, he went above and beyond. 419 yards rushing, 7 rushing touchdowns, and a kickoff return for a touchdown. So 8 total touchdowns. Oh, we also had 16 tackles on defense. So it's not like he wasn't doing anything on that side of the ball either. Just an all-around wild experience to watch. And the hospitality over at Mount Enterprise was phenomenal. The superintendent came up to me and introduced himself on the sideline during the game, and just great people out there. Weird setup. As you walk in the stadium, the locker room is right there. Where you enter the stadium you have to walk past the Mount Enterprise locker room to get into the stadium. So that's kind of an odd setup, but it immerses you right into the game. I mean, immediately.
You're right there, Kyle. It's like you feel like you're there.
Coach Ponder, as soon as I walked in, Coach Ponder said, hey, we're about to tape some guys up. You trying to get spatted? I said, No, coach, I'm good. I said, unless you're gonna put me out there running some routes, I'm good. I don't need to get spatted. But it was just a great game. And then, Grapeland, they weren't out of this thing. It just was it was almost like, I'll tell you what did it. In the second half, Kagan scored and put Mount Enterprise up by 2 scores, I think. And then I say it was an onside kick. It wasn't really an onside kick. They just didn't kick it very far. It kind of bounced early and it hit off a Grapeland player. Mount Enterprise got it back. Kagan scores in 2 plays. Then they do the same thing, fumble it again on the kickoff. So Mount Enterprise got 3 possessions in a row. And at that point, they weren't stopping Kagan. So they just wore them down. I think they only threw 1 registered pass, and it was a little pop pass. So it was straight running the ball. Grapeland looked good. I mean, they looked good on offense. Malik Johnson had a good game. Sean Walker had a good game. Just couldn't stop Kagan. You just could not stop Kagan Nash. And it wasn't just him. Aiden Alsop had a good game. The quarterback had a good game running. So Mount Enterprise is a very, very good football team, and that reflected in my rankings when I moved them up this week. So shout out to Mount Enterprise, Coach Ponder, and Kagan Nash. They were a phenomenal show Friday night.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, we got to see Kagan Nash against Carlisle early in the season, and it was just unbelievable. It was like, and the crazy thing is everybody knows he's getting the ball. Like, it's not like it's like, oh, man, how'd they give him the ball again? Like, I can't believe he got the ball again, and I think the exciting thing, I think he's got over 8,400 yards in his career, and I think 124 touchdowns. And then
he's 5th all time in Texas in career rushing yards.
Yeah, and then there's a kid over in Ozona right now who's got over 2,000 yards on the season and is on pace in round 2 to break the state's all-time rushing record if he stays at the current pace, and it's a 72-year-old record. So you got 2 of the most prolific running backs, right? One in a season and one of a career, going off at the same time, and both being seniors is just crazy. And anyway, I think they said the kid from Ozona, like his rushing average dipped down below 300 yards for the first time. His per game average in the season. It's like, what? But yeah, I mean, Kagan Ash's everything is delivered. He plays defense phenomenally. He runs. I mean, and he's got speed. It's not like, he gets to the outside, he's gone, but he can also hit the tough yard inside. Like, he can just do it all.
I feel left out because I haven't got to see him yet. So I'm excited.
You will.
I'm excited to get to see him here in a few weeks. Nice little add-on game that we're picking up. So, but yeah, it's just an incredible game. I mean, but if you like points, just follow Mount Enterprise. They're putting up a lot of points. I'm not sure what their average, but I'm sure it's well over 40 or 50 a game.
And they're not running a hurry up either. Like you would think if you're putting up a lot of points like this, that you're hurrying up, getting to the ball and running more plays. They're not. They're running a normal huddle offense, and it's just Kagan will rip. And that's the thing too. You may stop him. Like there was plenty of times where he got stopped for 0 yards or 1 or 2 yards, but then he rips a 50-yarder or a 40-yarder, a 78-yarder. Like it's big hits with him. And then in the second half, he starts hitting those 8 to 10 yard carries every time because you're just physically worn down. Because like you mentioned, he's fast. He can run away from people, but he's also not afraid to just lower his shoulder and pick up 2 or 3 tough yards and make you feel it. So he's complete guy, complete player.
And while we're on this district, a score that was very interesting a lot of the night is Overton was ahead of Lovelady for parts of that game. Lovelady ended up getting the win 44-29. But shout out to Coach Laymance and the Overton Mustangs for putting up a huge performance. And their quarterback is out right now, so they've got some injuries going on. But we were kind of watching that score, and there were points in that game where we thought, oh, Overton, are they going to get an upset here? This district though is another one that's, you got Grapeland and Lovelady and Overton and Mount Enterprise and Alto right there. I mean, I think it's going to be a good team left out of the playoff race.
And I feel like we've said that a lot, right?
Yeah.
I think that just shows you. No, but I mean, I think that's a testament to the quality of football in this area, right? That like there are good teams that are going to be left out of the playoffs in several districts because of the quality of play, right? I mean, you're seeing it week in and week out. Like we've seen great games. We've had 7 to 10 games every week on our network, and there are a lot of good games going on. And there's just good football in the area.
Yeah, and another one of those districts, games 8 here, as St. Augustine beats Joaquin in a game where we thought St. Augustine was at 15 coming in the year, and they're like, not so fast, guys. We want in this playoff hunt, and they got the win. Then you had Garrison just squeaking by Shelbyville by 2 points. And then Timpson took care of Hemphill, which Hemphill is going to struggle in this district. They're just not playing as well as some of these other teams. But, man, this could be, I think, point differential guys could come into a factor in this district. I don't know that anybody in this district goes undefeated. I don't know. I mean, what a win for St. Augustine and Coach Barnes.
It was a huge win. I picked them. I picked them to win on this game. I just thought, St. Augustine, what impressed me was when they turned the ball over 5 times against Carlisle and still only lost by 5 points. Like, to me, I know we don't say it's a good loss or whatever, but to be in that game, even competitive in that game after turning the football over that many times, you have a good football team. And I think it's going to be a fun matchup. St. Augustine and Garrison play this week. Like, that's going to be a fun matchup. When Timpson plays St. Augustine, when Garrison plays Timpson, the Battle of the Atoyac, like, there's going to be some huge matchups.
Larry's going to have some fun down there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Shelbyville's not out of it. Like, a 2-point loss to a really good Garrison team. The problem with Shelbyville is, if we've talked about this with other teams, they're going to have to outscore people. Their defense isn't built to make those, to just make it, a 14-7 game or 14-10 game. They're going to have to score points, outscore their opponent in order to win these games. But, man, yeah, these 2A districts are some of the most fun districts to keep up with.
Thursday night football on NETSN, just a shout this week, will be Timpson at Shelbyville. Larry will have the game. There's not many games on Thursday this week in the area, so could get your popcorn ready. There's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. We saw Timpson, or I saw them earlier in the season against Wolf City, and they're very impressive. And we know Shelbyville can score, so, I mean, I'm sure by now it'll be a 14-7 game, but it should be.
No, it won't.
Yeah, so it should be a lot of fun to watch, and so it's one of our games we'll have. And all right. Game 9, Texas High takes care of Marshall, but it wasn't very much. There wasn't a big blowout there. It was a close game. Marshall hung tough and showed that they belong right in that conversation with Texas High. But it's one of those things, guys. It's a tough to beat a team like Texas High. They are very, very good, and you're gonna have to play your A game. Even having them at home, Marshall still couldn't find a way. And 14-0, just shut them out completely. I mean, Marshall's got great athletes and can score the football. Kyle, you're shaking your head. That score, the 0, surprised you a little bit?
No, not really. I mean, Texas High's got a good defense, but I think what surprises me is how close that game's been. And I guess what surprised me is Marshall being in tight games back-to-back weeks with Mount Pleasant barely pulling that one out, and then this close game with Texas High. I think this Marshall team's very good, and it's I don't know if it says more about how far Marshall has improved, or maybe we underrated this Tyler High team, because that first game when Marshall gave up 42 to Tyler High, we're thinking, man, this Marshall defense is not performing well. But then they hold Texas High, who's another potent offense, to just 14 points. So
Tyler High's been putting up a lot of points on a lot of folks.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I think we may have underrated the Tyler High offense, and I don't think it's much of an indication on Marshall. But yeah, I mean, this district is Texas High's to lose, and they haven't done that yet, and I don't think they're going to do it. But I think now down the road, I think this Marshall and Nacogdoches game, when it pops up, I think that's going to be a very competitive game, maybe for the 2 seed out of that district. I know I don't want to you can't count out the other teams in there, but I mean, I think you've got I think there's 4 teams that we can see clearly that are going to be in these playoffs.
Did you see the Nacogdoches score though, KO? 21-20 over Hallsville. So that does that worry you?
A little bit, but I'm going to chalk that up to Nac had to make a long drive up to Hallsville. I'm going to say the travel got him on that one. I mean, Hallsville, yeah, it worries me. It does worry me. And the fact that Marshall has kept it close with these teams, but I still think those are your next 2 teams in that district, probably Marshall, but I think Nac gives them a run.
Well, we'll have Nac this week as White House travels down to Nacogdoches in a big game, which could be an elimination game for making the playoffs there.
That is a big opportunity for White House. They've struggled a little bit, but if they can go down there and beat Nacogdoches, on the road, that's a huge win for Coach Westerberg and the Wildcats.
Yeah, it's a game to watch for sure. A game 10, Chapel Hill and Kilgore. Kilgore gets the win 28-7. And I mean, I'm not that surprised. I mean, I thought Chapel Hill could maybe make it a little bit closer. But Kilgore's just been impressive. I know Kyle was calling for a lot of defense in this game. I know you'd mentioned you didn't think Kilgore, that 66-6 type game is not what they want to do. They want to score less and hold the opponent to less. That's what they did here in this game, which sets up a really interesting game next week over in Lindale. Kyle, what did you think about the score and the outcome of this one?
The outcome didn't surprise me. I picked Kilgore, but Chapel Hill impressed me with keeping it as close as they did. I know 21 points doesn't sound close, but they didn't get blown out. And we've seen where Chapel Hill has given up a lot of points to Carthage like they did earlier this year and a lot of points to Lindale, but they held a very powerful Kilgore offense. When Kilgore can put up points, I don't want to make it sound like the offense is incapable of it. They just don't have to win games. Mm-hmm. They're the type of team that can play an 18-6 game or a 28-7 game and get a win that way, as opposed to winning 66-50. But if they need to, they can. So I was impressed that Chapel Hill hung with Kilgore like they did. I know for Chapel Hill fans, for Coach Reardon and them, it's not good vibes around the team right now because of how the district has started, but there's still everything in front of Chapel Hill. Like, they still have a chance to go in. They could be a 3 seed. Remember a couple of years ago, they went in as a 3 seed and made a run all the way to the state championship game. So I think we've talked about this district. Doesn't matter what seed you go in this district, as long as you get in, mm-hmm. you have full reign to do what you need to do. So
they still got some games ahead of them that they got to take care of, though. You still got a Henderson team that's playing well right now.
It's going to be a really good game.
Pine Tree as well. Everyone's kind of been down on Pine Tree, but they're still, all those teams are still in this. I feel like it's still, right now. I know Palestine struggled, so they're kind of more of a spoiler team if they can knock somebody off and ruin somebody's season. But you've got Henderson, Pine Tree, Chapel Hill now that are kind of fighting for those 2 spots. That kind of the way it's shaped up so far.
Yeah, I think the worrying thing, though, is, and again, I know it's Kilgore and they've got a great defense. I think it's kind of the same thing with Marshall. Like, it's really hard to win games if you don't put up some points. And so I think, with Marshall going back-to-back weeks with 7, they won 7-3 the week before, and then only scoring, they didn't score at all. And then Chapel Hill only putting up 7. And not that they can't put up points, but I think that's the thing that they're going to look back and go, we've got to be able to put points on the board, and they've got to find a way to do it easier. I think, kind of the same thing in the Lindale game. Like, it just felt like it was so much work to get anything going, right? And I think this game probably felt the same way. So I think for them, it's how can we get the ball going easy? How can we get some quick pickups, right? How can we get 4 and 5 yards of play? And I think that's going to be the big key for them moving forward, is getting those things done.
I can tell you how to remedy that. Go play Maybank next week. That will be a good way to remedy it. Sorry, no offense, Maybank, but I just don't think it's Maybank's waiting for that realignment. They're like, hey, let's realign us and not in this district. Please put us in another district. But that's honestly, I think that's a good, you get some good momentum going. They're going to have those last couple of weeks where they get Henderson and Pine Tree. They're going to need to make sure they take care of business in those games and not worry about those other 2. Again, you can only play what's in front of you. Just take care of business, and then you'll get another chance. You can get another chance at both Lindale and Kilgore if you take care of business. You win the first 2 rounds of playoffs. You're going to probably get both of those teams if you win. So, not that those games don't matter, but in that region, as long as you get a spot in the tournament, that district is probably, those 4 teams are probably going to be your tougher teams. There might be a couple other ones, but for the most part, your toughest games are going to be against that district. So I don't think there's any worry. You're going to you just got to get things going. You got some time, and they'll have that bye week the last week of the season. Chapel Hill does. And so they'll have some time to get things healthy, go do some scouting, get focused on the playoffs. So again, they, take care of these last 3, and then you just play who's in front of you. Speaking of seeding, we had the Brook Hill guard losing to Hyde Park at home tough one for Coach Ryle and the Guard, as that's probably going to make them travel across the state of Texas for playoffs if they get in. That's never a fun one. As they lost, they were up in this game at one point, and Hyde Park ran off 21 straight points to get the win, 24-14, and just a disappointing outcome there if you're the Guard. I know they lost a lot from last year's senior class, but with the guys they've got there, I know this is disappointing for Coach. How surprised are you guys with this score? I thought they might be able to, you got a team traveling in from Austin, 4+ hour drive, and not be able to take care of business at home. I know Hyde Park had this game circled because they did lose last year. I traveled down for that game last year, and Brook Hill won on Hyde Park went for 2 for the win at the very game and didn't get it. And so I'm sure they wanted some revenge, but a tough loss for the Guard.
Yeah, I mean, to have a 14-3 lead at halftime and not score a single point in the second half, I think that's the disappointing part, right? Like, you put yourself in a good position in the first half, and then nothing seemed to have gone your way in the second half, right? Like, we kind of watched a little bit of that second half toward the end, and it just felt like they couldn't get anything going. Like, they'd get a little something, and then they'd get a penalty, or it just felt like it was very clunky. Like, there was no rhythm to it. So I think that's, and that's frustrating as a coach and as players if you can't get any rhythm going, and especially when it starts to go against you and old momentum walks to the other side of the field and then you can't get a rhythm. I think it's a tough loss for them, and probably one they're going to look back and say, man, we had a bunch of chances and we missed them.
Yeah, it's a tough loss for Brook Hill, and they just got to refocus this week and move forward. It'll be all right. Shake it off.
Yeah, I think the possible trip to Midland ahead of them could be is what they want. They don't want to have to make the trip to Fort Worth again to play All Saints. You want to avoid that one. I know that district's tough, but you got to take care of business and try to secure up that third spot because you just don't want to have to play Fort Worth All Saints round 1. They saw what happened last.
It's weird you'd say they'd prefer to go to Midland than Fort Worth.
If you'd seen Fort Worth All Saints last year in person, KO, you'd understand why.
I got you. Just a long trip, though.
Yeah, it is a long trip. I guess a long trip for our broadcast team that be going to
Book
Midland.
A flight from Tyler Pounds to Midland.
Oh man, big win for Bullard this week. They win 24-7 as they're trying to stay alive in that playoff hunt there in that district. You got also in that district too. You have Athens all over Brownsboro, 52-8, and then of course Carthage all over Center. That's going to be interesting to see where I think we've kind of established that Carthage and Athens are 1-2. We thought Center was 3. I don't know. I mean, you've got interesting battle between Center, Bullard, and Brownsboro. I don't know how good Brownsboro is. They haven't won but one game, but Bullard Center game could be interesting. As you definitely want to avoid that number 1 seed. So, I mean, the loser of that game gets Pleasant Grove. I don't want to play Pleasant Grove round 1,
especially after that 77-7 drubbing they put on somebody this week. Yeah.
Oof.
I don't want to be part of that. Yeah, I think it was a big win for Bullard. It was homecoming, and again, they're playing a Russ team who's kind of starting over. They got a new coach, and so. But I know it was a big win for them. I know that my dad lives in Bullard and often goes. I think every Thursday they have a luncheon at one of at First Baptist Church. I think where the coaches come in and they kind of do a little interview and talk about the games and what's coming up. And so I know it was one they had circled on the calendar as just being a big one to kind of get some momentum for them. So big win for Bullard there.
Then you got the other district. You got Van knocked off Spring Hill 49-26. And also, we talked about the Pittsburgh-Gilmer game. And then Pleasant Grove, you mentioned Paris North Lamar. I think Paris North Lamar, is that the one that Jaron went to school at? I believe that's his school.
Yeah.
77-7. That's an oucher.
They went to Vegas for that 7-7-7.
Yeah, definitely. So another district in that 4A Division 2, you got Canton stays undefeated. They're still 6-0. They beat Kemp 63-0. I'm interested to see when them and Sunnyvale play. Sunnyvale won 48-30. That'll be a very interesting game. I think that'll tell us a little more about Canton. Right now, I I don't know how good they are because they haven't played really anybody that's impressive to me. I mean, you're 6-0, so that's tough to do. You have to beat who's on your schedule, but we'll see how good they do against Sunnyvale when those two match up.
Don't count out Quinlan Ford either. Quinlan Ford's
that's
undefeated in that district too, and they play them the week before they play Sunnyvale.
That's right. That's why I didn't see that game because that was on that Thursday night. We had that game on NETSN as they won over Wills Point, 42-0. Yeah, those three teams will be some good battles there. Thanks, Kay. I was looking for that other district game and I didn't see it, but that's why it was on Thursday. All right, let's go back through and check the rest of the games here, see if there's anything that sticks out. Right, let's see. We had Tyler High. They put up a lot of points, KO. No surprise there. 66-30 over Cleburne. So a big win for Coach Woods.
That's huge. One more win, and they lock themselves into the playoffs. So all they need is one more win, and I think they can do it. They are wearing out the lights at Rose Stadium.
It's a light show every Friday night. Huh?
Yeah, that poor video board's going to frazzle out if they're not careful.
Yeah, well, and even when Legacy plays there, like a lot of points are being, maybe not all for Legacy, but a lot of points are being put up on the scoreboard. So like that scoreboard has been worn out these past 4 or 5 weeks.
We did mention 6A, but I want to go back up here. Tyler Legacy lost to Royce City 38-17, but the big news is that Forney knocks off Longview 28-24,
and comes from behind to do it. Longview was ahead, and then Forney comes from behind at the end and takes a win. And man, who would have thought Longview would be 3-3?
3-3 Longview Lobos.
That's even bigger in that district. Rockwall Heath beat North Forney. So that district is all up in arms right now. We thought going into it, we knew who would be at the top, and now it's kind of all jumbled up. I have all the faith in the world that Longview gets into the playoffs, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as it has been in years past. Like this district is so unpredictable.
So here it is: Rockwall Heath at 2-0, Forney 2-1, North Forney 2-1, Longview 1-1, Rockwall 1-1, Royce City 1-2, Tyler Legacy 0-3.
And Longview still has to play Heath and North Forney.
Yeah. So they can still get themselves back up in there. It's just
for sure. But they can also get knocked out if they lose these games. So that's why these are big games.
And you got first they got the travel to Legacy this week. They'll play at Rose Stadium. So maybe they can get back on the right track. Jeremy, are you feeling a Lobo Legacy upset of the Lobos this week?
No.
Okay.
I think that it's going to be a very angry Lobo team. And I feel, unfortunately, the train horn travels, and so
they've lost 3 out of 4 games. So
it's true. It's true. And again, I think some of that has to do with the disruption of the rhythm of not having Coach King around as much as he wants to. But Legacy they just seem they can get some things going. They're just having a hard time. And again, it's a really, really tough district. Like Royce City is probably quote unquote the easiest game on your schedule as far as district goes, and they got beat by 21. And so I think it's just one of those years where it's tough sledding. And I think they knew that walking in. And again, the injury to the quarterback before the season began didn't help. Having to run in a young guy at quarterback who I think they're excited about, and they're but again, he's a young guy with his first varsity experience, and that's a tough district to run a young quarterback into.
So for Division I, we talked about Chapel Hill Kilgore. Henderson beat Maybank 62-20. And then Lindale, with the game we had, Jeremy, 44-14 over Palestine. We saw a different Palestine team. There were some flashes of some good play. You had Brown in at quarterback, and he was able to make some plays with his legs. He's a sophomore, so I think Coach Ray's has got some potential there. It was just too much Lindale and what they like to do. I mean, we talk about all the time that his name is Hank. I think they should just call him Tank Thurman because he runs straight ahead and he just runs over you, or he steps quickly beside you and lets you go by. He's very elusive. Another impressive win for Coach Cochran.
They only had to run him 3 carries in the second half. He only had 17 carries. He had 80 yards and 3 touchdowns, right? Like they didn't even need to use him. They ran about 4 or 5 different running backs in that game for Lindale and got some guys a chance to play without, running the risk of injury. Emilian Johnson looked good coming back in. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just a team that, their D-line is so dominant. Now I knew as soon as I said that his name was going to go blank. Zero, the defensive end.
Caleb Walker?
Yeah, Walker. I felt like he almost caught a couple snaps. He was back there so fast. They were just dominant that night. And then
he'll be playing for the Houston Cougars next year.
Yeah, there might be a few other teams knocking before the day is done. If you've seen some game tape, they might go, we might have missed that one. We might want to go back and talk to this kid and see what's going on.
Then of course Solana with a big win over Sulphur Springs, 38-14. And that, of course, we've talked about that district being tough. Still got Panther Creek, Luke Larkin down there. They're at 6-1. They won 63-21. So that's going to be interesting to see where Sulphur Springs. Can they beat Panther Creek? Or are they going to fall down to that third spot? Of course, again in that district, I think you get in the dance and you're probably going to be able to travel pretty far just by the strength of it. So let's go down to check out the 3 Division 1 here. We mentioned Jefferson with a big win over White Oak. We talked about this game last week being an interesting game as far as we wouldn't think this was going to be a big game. Jefferson's able to bounce back and get the win over White Oak. Malakoff, they were angry and they took it out on Mineola. They won 51-19. That district there is going to be interesting too. Where's Malakoff going to end up flying? You got Winsboro having some trouble for a minute. You've got Malakoff kind of. It's going to be very very interesting, guys. Kale, what do you think?
Mountain Verton's at the top of the district at 3-0.
Yeah, who's going to get left out here?
Yeah,
I don't know, but yeah, I'm glad Jeremy said it because I was about to say the same thing about Mount Vernon. Don't leave them out because they got beat big by Commerce, but outside of that, I think or not, they didn't. I'm sorry, when that was Winsboro I was looking at. But Mount Vernon and Commerce are kind of on a collision course. The team that I don't think Malakoff gets left out. I think Malakoff gets the 4 seed. They've already beat Mineola. Even if I don't think that Eustis or Rains is going to jump over Malakoff. I can't see them being left out.
See, and you got Mineola who's played Mount Vernon, Winsboro, and Malakoff, so they played a pretty meat of the schedule. So
they still got Commerce though.
Commerce next week, yeah. So that's with Mount Vernon improving and Commerce being better. That's a tough 4 teams right there. I wouldn't want to meet any of those teams in round 1.
Well, and that's the thing. To think that we were talking about Malakoff maybe being the 4 seed, that wouldn't have been the conversation preseason, right? We were going the opposite. It was Malakoff's district to lose, and so that shows you a lot about Commerce and Mount Vernon, and and again we talked about Winsboro being up there with them, but nobody expected. I didn't expect Malakoff to be fighting for a 4th seed.
Malakoff Winsboro week 11, guys.
Yeah,
interesting game there. Of course, we talked about Gladewater and that district mostly. Dropping down to the Troop district, West Rusk and New Diana was a close one, fellas. West Rusk holds on to win 28-21. I think they scored late in that one to get the win. That's interesting to me. That I don't know if that says more if West Rusk is a little bit closer to New Diana, or they just didn't play well. I didn't get to see enough of that game. Troop played pretty well, guys. They won 60-0 over Winona, and then
that's not too bad.
Yeah, Buffalo beat Elkhart, and so ARP had the bye week this week. So there's still some good games coming up in that district that I'm interested to see. I think again, Troop is there at 1, and then those other 3 teams. We think ARP is second, but we'll see. West Rusk will have something to say about that, I'm sure. But then, of course, a matchup that we could see, I think Dangerfield, they won big this week.
They scored 83.
That's pretty bad when you give up that many points. That's ugly. They're angry at people right now. I think they're just scoring as many points as they can.
I don't know what happened in that game, but I looked at it at one point and it was like 20-something to nothing. And then the next score I saw, or the next time I looked at it, which was only like maybe 30, 40 minutes later, it was 60-something to nothing. I was like, what just happened, dude?
Yeah. Well, and they got Hooks next. I think they got Hooks coming up, and Hooks won 65-3 over Hughes Springs.
That'll be a good one.
So that should be probably, I don't think anybody else is going to compete. They'll probably be the top 2 teams in that district, I would guess. So that'll be a good game. But, man, yeah, Dangerfield has just completely turned it around. They even did, but last year they went 0-4. They only went 0-3 this year, guys. They're doing better. They're 4-0 in the last 4 weeks.
But the problem is they get me off the bandwagon early because they don't look good in these games, and then I got to hop back on and look like a fair weather fan.
Well, we can only do what we see, KO.
It makes the poll hard for them, right? Like to fall out early and then.
And when I saw how bad they looked against Tatum, it was just hard. Once I saw them in person, they just didn't look good. I mean, and a Tatum team that has struggled, this year with other teams, they beat Dangerfield pretty easily. I mean, it wasn't really close, and so I don't know. You had the Elysian Fields and the Nunu Kinney show on NETSN as he traveled to Big Sandy. Great pregame deal. I don't know if you guys got to catch any of that. We had some of it on NETSN honoring the state championship team from 75 before the game, and the fact that Big Sandy held Elysian Fields to 32 points. I mean, that's impressive after I saw the display they put on in against Union Grove the week before. So shout out to them for that. But got to take.
Yeah, I was surprised when we saw the score at halftime that it was close. I thought for sure that it would have been 32-0 at halftime, right? Like, so I mean, hats off to Big Sandy for keeping it close.
This was a head scratcher to me, KO. Harleton 41, Hawkins 12. Tell me what happened there. I mean,
I have no earthly idea. I did not see that one coming. And even if Hawkins was going to lose, I didn't see it being like that. So I got nothing for you on that one, Brett. I'm supposed to have answers for you. I got nothing on that one. I have no clue. Shout out to the Wildcats. Big win.
I mean, that's just, I don't know. It's just, that was one of the head scratchers of the week to me when I saw the score. I mean,
they've lost 3 of their last 4, and I mean they whooped Ore City last week by 30. I was like, okay, they're kind of coming back around, and then you go out and kind of lay an egg with Harleton. I mean, I don't know.
I wonder if somebody got hurt. Like, I wonder if their quarterback Gavin Smith or Eli Smith. I mean, I wonder if he got hurt, and because that just doesn't make any sense to me.
Got to be something there. It's got to be. I don't know.
Maybe Harleton just played that well.
I mean, maybe so. And that just makes the district even more head scratching. I mean, it's just, I don't know what to say. It's just, I mean, you've got Elysian Fields up there at the top, and then you just have all this chaos going on.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very head scratching to me. I want to look at this because I'm interested to see kind of what the standings are. I'm trying to pull them up here.
It's Elysian Fields is 4-0 in the district. Beckville and Wascom are both 3-1, with Beckville having the tiebreaker. Then Harleton and Union Grove are both 2-2, and then Hawkins and Ore City are 1-3, and then Big Sandy's sitting at 0-4. So I mean, you've got it looks like Elysian Fields, Beckville and Wascom are kind of in the driver's seat, with 3 and 4 wins, and then you've got Harleton, Union Grove, Hawkins, Ore City. They're all kind of right there. I mean. Cool. There's going to be a decent team that's going to get left out of this, right? I mean, Union Grove sitting in the 5th seed right now.
I mean, we see Wascom. Who do they have left? Wascom they have Elysian Fields, so they're going to take a loss probably in that one. And they have Big Sandy Hawkins. So, yeah, I don't know. There's going to be, I guarantee you there's going to be a tiebreaker with the score differential probably involved in that. There's no way I don't think that someone straight gets there, and it could be that there's
next week you have Union Grove and Harleton head to head, so they're tied for that 4th spot right now, and so that'll be a big one.
I think Harleton has the week off, and then they play on Thursday at Union Grove. I think that win over Hawkins could get Harleton into the playoffs. Like, when you look at the rest of their schedule, it's favorable. Like, I think they can get wins over Union Grove, and
they better get those first 2 wins because Week 11,
right? Right, but I'm saying if they can pick up those 2 wins over Union Grove and North City, I think that win over Hawkins bodes even larger because we can look back at that and say that was the one that really put them over that we kind of didn't expect that put them over the top to get into the playoffs. So
Union Grove, I think they're the team. I think that's the game because Union Grove, of course, they have Beckville left, but they've already played Wascom and Legion Fields. They close with Big Sandy, so that's definitely a big game.
That Harleton Union Grove game is huge. That's a playoff spot on the line, I think.
Well, that's I don't think we could have picked this district correctly if we'd have tried, guys. It's just tough. Speaking of picking something,
Fields being 4-0.
Speaking of picking something, let's look at our polls and see how they look this week.
It's what I've waited for all night.
He's ready. He's ready to see how bad we look on our polls. There wasn't a whole lot of change. I think maybe a little bit more this week in the top, the big school poll for me. I did have a new team enter the poll. I had to drop one out. So, all right. So let's start at the bottom. We are going to start with 15 through 11. We got at 15, we've got Nacogdoches. At 14, we've got Van. 13, we've got Chapel Hill. 12, we got Marshall. And 11, we have Henderson. Now, I'm gonna wait a second. Hold on a second. Oh, that's my tabulated. I'm gonna complain a little bit about the Chapel Hill ranking at 13. I think that's a little low for them. You got Henderson above them, which they still have to play them. But they've lost to Carthage, Kilgore, Lindale, the top 3 teams in the poll.
Where were they ranked last week? Remind me. Overall,
I can't remember where they were last week. I know this isn't. It says on here, but that's not. It says 5, but that's not correct.
Yeah.
I have them at 7 still. Like I did bump them down a couple more spots. I did lose, but
Chapel Hill was 8 last week.
They were 8. Okay. So see, I don't know. I think that's a little low for me. But
here's my thing. I moved them in my poll. I moved them to where is it at? I moved them from 9th to 12th in my poll. So I dropped them 3 spots. And here's my reasoning. The Carthage game was close at halftime, but Carthage pulled away. The Lindale game wasn't close. And then you got beat by 21. I understand they're good teams, but it's also how you look in those games. And so I didn't think they looked good. So that's why I was dropping them. But, I mean,
comparatively for the teams in the poll, that's what I'm looking at.
I only dropped them 3 spots, though, after a 21-point loss because they lost to Kilgore. Like, I see the competition, but that's why I dropped them.
Okay.
Yeah, I moved them down to 11th in my poll. I think 13 is too far. But
okay, so what do you guys have 15 through 11? Kyle, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm thinking I might have missed NAC, but I did move another team in to my top 15. I moved Tyler High. I got the Cujo.
Oh, okay. Tyler High.
I'm just impressed. Listen, I know, again, we don't talk about good losses, but a 4-point loss where you put up 66 points on Highland Park, that's impressive. And it wasn't just a flash in the pan because they're consistently putting up 60 points. So I got Tyler High at 15. I got Van at 14. I moved them up 1 spot, 15 to 14. I moved Canton up 1 spot from 14 to 13. Chapel Hill, like I said, I moved them from 9th to 12th, and I moved Henderson from 12th to 11th. So I think that Chapel Hill Henderson game will sort itself out in the rankings wise.
All right, Jeremy, what do you got?
Yeah, so I've got NAC entering my poll at 15. Van moved up to 14. I had Marshall drop down to 13. I had Canton go up 2 spots from 14 to 12. They're probably still a little low, but they were a late entrant into my poll last week. And then I've got Chapel Hill at 11.
Okay. All right. So 10 through 6, Lufkin at 10, Longview at 9, Canton at 8, Athens at 7, Sulphur Springs at 6. So I had Athens 10, Lufkin 9, Longview 8, Chapel Hill at 7, and Sulphur at 6. So what did you guys have? Jeremy, what do you have that middle 5 there?
Yeah, I've got Henderson at 10. I moved them from 13 up to 10. Sulphur dropped from 5 to 9 for me. Lufkin moved up to 8. I've got Longview from 3 down to 7. Athens jumped from 10 to 6. So I've got Henderson, Sulphur, Lufkin, Longview, Athens.
Okay. KO?
I got Marshall at 10. I dropped them from 7th, so I dropped them 3 spots. I dropped Sulphur's 3 spots to 9th from 6th. I moved Texas High up 3 spots. I had them at 11th, so after they beat Marshall, I put them ahead of Marshall there at number 8. Lufkin went up 3 spots because of who I had moving down. I just moved them up because they didn't play. They didn't lose, so I moved them up to 7th. And then I dropped Longview 3 more spots down to 6th. So even with 3 losses, I still have Longview up there at 6th just because they've lost by 3 points, 3 points, and 4 points. Like they're right there in these games. So I haven't punished them too much.
All right. Top 5, Texas High at 5, Pleasant Grove at 4, Lindale at 3, Kilgore 2, Carthage 1. I have Pleasant Grove 5, Texas High 4, Lindale 3, Kilgore 2, Carthage 1. So I have all 5 teams, 2 of them flipped. I think this may be a pretty decent consensus, at least these 5 teams. What do you got, KO?
I already mentioned Texas High, so I don't have them in my top 5, but I have Athens at 5. I moved them up from 8th to 5th. I got Lindale at 4, moved them from 5th to 4th. Pleasant Grove at 3rd, 4th to 3rd, and then Kilgore and Carthage have been my number 2 and number 1.
Okay. Jeremy?
I've got the exact 5 in the exact same order. I've got Texas High at 5, PG 4, Lindale 3, Kilgore 2, and Carthage 1.
Look at you!
I know. I feel like that's got to be worth something to get all 5 in the top 5 in the right order. That's got to be worth a little something. I don't know. Maybe a mini belt,
pride.
like a little belt.
Pride, bragging rights.
Pride. I'll take pride. Yeah.
Trying to see. So Nacogdoches to me was my new entrant in the poll. I did drop Pittsburgh out after they lost to Gilmer.
I did too.
So I mean, you hate to say that was a bad loss, but according to how Gilmer's looked part of the year, if they're worse than a 2-4 team, then they can't be in the poll. Now they get a win over a van, then maybe we're talk again after that. But I think that it kind of worked itself out. I'm gonna go through here and see. Let's see who we got. So Paris got a vote. Quinlan Ford got a vote. Teams that weren't in. Pittsburgh still did get a vote. But pretty much consistent. The mostly our top ones got in. Obviously, Kyle had Tyler High. They also got a vote.
I need to keep an eye. I haven't put NAC in there though, and that's when you said it, I was like, of course, Nacogdoches. Like I hadn't thought about them in our polls in a couple of years.
Winning. I was kind of forced at that point. Like they kept winning, and then with Pittsburgh taking that L, it gave me the opportunity to put them in there. And
that's kind of where I was too. I had Pittsburgh at 11, and I was like, man, I could put them at 15, but like I feel like NAC at 5-1 really deserves to be in the poll. I mean, they've had a good season. It's the most wins they've had under their coach, and so I was like, I can't justify leaving a Pittsburgh team in who got beat by Gilmer, who struggled, over a team that's 5-1, and that's really what the change was for me.
And NAC's only loss is to Lufkin, and they're in the poll, so it's not like their loss was a bad one. So it's a solid one there. Okay, all right. Is there anybody you guys are watching for? I know we kind of mentioned a few of those. Any of those that you're watching that might be able to jump back in with a couple of wins?
I think Tyler High's one for me.
Pittsburgh, yeah, I think so. I think
Pittsburgh could jump back in. Yeah.
They got some games ahead of them that they could prove themselves.
I think like KO had Tyler High in there. I think that's a team to watch. If they can make some noise in their district and finish in the top couple, that's a team that can make a statement,
They're talented on offense. They have all the talent in the world on offense. It's just a matter of, are they going to be able to get the stops when they need to? But they can put up a ton of points.
Okay. All right. Let's move to the small school poll and see how that one shook out. That's always the interesting one of the evening. Let's see. I had 3 new teams in my rankings this week that weren't in the previous week, not that haven't been in the rankings. We need to. That's this can't be possible. Hold on, we're gonna have to fix something. Give me a second, fellas. Let's see. Okay, here we go. All right, we got that squared away, and so let's get this poll started, guys. Y'all ready for the small school? This is always fun.
Let's do it.
All right, starting at the bottom. 15 is Wascom. 14, Honey Grove. 13, Edgewood. 12, Garrison. And 11, the West Rusk Raiders. That's our 15 through 11. I had Dangerfield back in, guys. I know we were down on Dangerfield early, but 4 impressive wins in a row. I brought them back into my poll at 15. I also brought back in Jefferson after they got back on the winning way, win over White Oak. And then Edgewood also entered my poll at 13 after the win over Grand Saline. Then I had West Rusk at 12 and then Garrison at 11. Okay, what do you got there?
I brought in a new team. Yeah, I brought in Edgewood as well. And I'll get to them in a second. I dropped Grapeland from 12th to 15th. Yeah, they lost a barn burner there to Mount Enterprise, but I have Mount Enterprise high in my rankings, so I didn't want to dock them too bad. I moved Jefferson from 15th to 14th. I dropped Grand Saline from 7th to 13th. And then I moved Edgewood in to my polls, and I couldn't justify putting them in behind Grand Saline, so I had to move them up to 12. And then I have Wascom at 11. They were 4th in my poll, and I dropped them all the way to 11th this week. So kind of a shakeup. Same teams. I only brought in one new team, but a big shakeup in mine.
Okay, Jeremy?
Yeah, I didn't bring any new teams in. I already had Edgewood in, but I dropped Grand Saline from 11 down to 15. Which bumped Edgewood up to 14. I dropped Wascom from 9 down to 13. And then Atlanta jumped from 14 to 12. And I've got them probably too low. They were just a late ad for me. And then West Rusk is my 11.
Okay. All right. 10 through 6. We got Atlanta at number 10. Gladewater at 9. ARP at 8. Mount Enterprise at 7 and Elysian Fields at 6. I had Gladewater at 10, ARP at 9, Atlanta 8, Elysian Fields 7, and Mount Enterprise 6. So I have all the teams there, just in a different order in that 5. Jeremy, what do you got here in this 10 through 6?
Yeah, I've got Gladewater at 10. I have Garrison at 9. Elysian Fields at 8, ARP at 7, and then Mount Enterprise at 6.
Okay. KO?
All mine are movers this week in my top 10. I got Garrison at 10, up from 13. I got ARP at 9, up from 14. Elysian Fields at 8, up from 11. Gladewater at 7, up from 10. And Winsboro at 6, up from 8.
Okay. Top 5. Number 5 is Winsboro. 4 is Frankston. 3 is Lovelady. 2 is Troop. And number 1 for the last several weeks in a row, Westwood. So I had Frankston. So I had Frankston and Winsboro flip-flop. That's the only 2 that I had off. The other 5 I had that were the top 5. So I had Frankston, Winsboro, Lovelady, Troop, and Westwood. Kyle, what'd you have?
I almost pulled the Jeremy. I almost got all 5 in the correct order, but my different one is Winsboro, and I have Mount Enterprise at 5 and Winsboro at 6. So I have Mount Enterprise at 5th, Frankston at 4, Lovelady at 3, Troop at 2, and Westwood at 1.
Okay.
Guess
Jeremy?
what, fellas? Jeremy pulled a Jeremy. He got 5 for 5.
Hey!
He's got Winsboro at 5, Frankston at 4, Lovelady 3, Troop 2, and Westwood 1. So I pulled the infamous double. I didn't get much else right in the poll after 5, but
Hey,
how did you
do in the pick'em last week?
Not great, 6 and 4. So
okay. So that was
I can't pick them, but I can rank them.
That counts for something.
You pick them, I rank them. There we go. That sounds like a bail bonds company or something, right?
This one's always interesting to see who everyone picks. Looking down through, I had Dangerfield. I think that's a team that is an up and coming team in our poll. Of course, we still had some votes for Grand Saline. I think they're okay. No, we're not throwing the five bell alarms there. I think they just need to take care of business the rest of the way. Edgewood's a good team. Let's see. We got Lone Oak, a vote for Lone Oak in our poll, which maybe we should. There's a couple of votes for them. Maybe they're a team. They're on that very edge border.
If you're going to include Honeygrove, you can include Lone Oak.
I didn't include Honeygrove in my poll.
I'm not saying you particular. I'm just saying if Honeygrove is included, then Lone Oak can be included.
So you're telling me you're talking to Brandon Ogden from the Tyler paper.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying in general, if we're going to have Honeygrove, which is not an East Texas team in our poll, then we should have Lone Oak, which is also not an East Texas team in our poll.
We've got some people that are voting for.
Anybody vote for Mildred?
I don't know that Mildred got a vote this week. I think they were getting votes, but they may have dropped.
Mount Vernon was my almost team.
Yeah.
No, Mildred didn't get a vote this week. Honeygrove did get several.
Mount Vernon, I was sitting there with Grand Saline and Mount Vernon, right? And I had Grand Saline at 11, and I just couldn't quite drop them all the way out since they lost to a good Edgewood team. And so that was my debate there. I went back and forth with Mount Vernon and
Mount Vernon when they beat like one of those teams that we think when they play some of those teams that we think that are tough. I think that's when I'm watching for them still.
Yeah.
But if they can beat a team like Malakoff, a team like Winsboro, those teams, Commerce, and so I think when they start beating some of those teams, they'll climb the polls. I'm interested to see how well they do though. Anybody else that you guys are looking at? Kyle, I know a team that you're looking at. Tell me.
I'm looking at the West Rusk Raiders. That's right. I got to keep an eye on them. But I'm also keeping an eye on Mount Vernon. Dangerfield was a good one that I kind of hadn't thought about. So those are kind of three teams that I'm keeping my eye on for sure.
Anybody that can score 80+ points in a game,
they deserve some recognition. Absolutely.
If they I think they play Hooks this week. If they can beat a good Hooks team, a good solid win for them.
Which also we can include in our rankings if we'd like, up by Texarkana.
Yeah. Jaren's probably got his rankings.
I think the hard thing with Dangerfield too is just that rough start. Like it makes it hard for me to think about throwing them back in the poll just because of that 0-3 kickoff. You know what I mean? And so it's like, again, they need to be on my radar, and if they keep making noise, they will be. But that was a team that didn't really cross my mind because of the rough start. So,
well, and that's kind of why I started the year, and everyone gave me a hard time about not putting them in the poll, Dangerfield, and they got off to the bad start. It made me look really good, but they've started slowly doing what they did last year. So now, as they've gotten better throughout the year, I see them trending towards last year now. So now I've put them in the poll there, and if they continue to trend, I think, you have to remember. I don't realize sometimes when I'm thinking about Dangerfield, they're in that same classification with like Troop and ARP and those teams. For some reason, I guess it's because who they schedule. I always think they're that 3A Division 1, but they're 3A Division 2. And so when you start putting them
same region, I think too.
Yeah, it's just I don't think of them that way. I don't know why. I guess it's because I just feel like that because of the schedule that they play, that they should be that bigger team, but they're not. So once they get into their district and they play teams their same size, you start to see in that dominant performance. And so that's why I think they're still a team to watch out for. I just was worried early because they weren't competitive in some of those games and just didn't look the part. Getting to see them in person, they just didn't look like a team that was going to be a team to watch out for. But they're, again, as the season goes, they build, and that's what you want as a coach, to build your team and have them ready to go by district and playoff time. So, all right, well, that's the polls week. A little bit of movement for us this week, and now, guys, it's that time. It's where we go and show everyone how great we can pick, except for Jeremy Diamond.
Hey,
just kidding, Jeremy. Just kidding.
I'm gonna do my best.
Just kidding. All right, Kale, you ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right.
I got to put my pick'em hat on, take off my ranking hat.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Got to do the what is that?
might-
What was that? The arm wrestling one where they turn the hat around.
You might want to
backwards,
wear the same hat. You might want to wear the same hat.
Yeah.
That's true.
That would help.
True. Yeah, that's true.
Okay. First two games. Actually, these first three games, I didn't realize this is all the same district play here. We got game one, Crossroads versus Carlisle. The Carlisle Indians coming off a huge win at home against Cayuga. Man, give me those Indians, man. Ibarra's back. I am now that they're healthy. I'm back on the Carlisle Indians this week. I think they get the win versus Crossroads there at home. What you got, KO?
I'm looking here at Carlisle. We know Ibarra's playing because he just played against Cayuga. Yeah, I really don't know why I'm looking at this hard. Give me Carlisle, Coach Baker and the Carlisle Indians.
You're making it harder than it needs to be, KO.
I don't know what I was thinking.
I was waiting. I was like, okay, KO's about to give me some great spill on why he's going to make this pick.
Nope, nothing. Just give me Carlisle.
He's the wrestler that had the great promo, and then he was like, I'm going to win.
All
I
right,
was trying
Jeremy.
to tease you, make you think it was something was coming.
I
in.
was ready.
You had me hanging on the edge of my seat, and you left it, just dropped it. I was like, oh,
My bad.
Give me the Indians as well.
it was like
Ibarra
some
being
Tony
back.
Khan booking.
oh.
It ain't
Oh.
that bad, Brett. All right.
All
It
right,
ain't that bad.
game two, and this one's intriguing. I'm interested to see what you guys think about this. Mildred versus Cayuga here. Two teams coming off losses in district play. A big game in district here. I don't know, Kyle. What do you think about this one, man?
Why you gotta go to me first?
I don't know. I just looked at you first. I went there. Maybe we should ask. Maybe we should ask Diggs since these are DFW schools.
Right. Listen, Cayuga played Carlisle tough, even with Ibarra being in there. They, like you said, they were ahead majority of the game and kind of lost that one late. And then they hung really tight with a really good Grapeland team that, I just saw this past week. So even their losses have been good losses. But then when you look at Mildred, they lost to Westwood and Frankston, but in those games weren't even competitive. This is the fourth straight road game for Mildred too, going to Cayuga. So a lot of road trips for the Eagles. Again, don't know why I'm making this one so difficult. Give me Coach McGee and the Cayuga Wildcats. I don't know why I'm going with Cayuga. I'm going with the East Texas team.
All right, Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking at the wins, Mildred was 4-0 to start the season, right? But they weren't. I mean, again, I don't know all the teams really well, but there's not a team win on there that you're like, oh man, And so I think I'm rolling with Cayuga as well. I think Cayuga gets this win at home, and I think they kind of stamp their place in moving up in that district.
Yeah, this is tough. I mean, we know how good Grapeland is, and they let them lose that game. But you look at some of the games on the schedule, and the Westwood loss for Mildred, but it wasn't close. They just lost bad to Frankston. And it's just, I don't know. This is a tough one to pick, but I'm going to go with Coach McGee because I know he loves NETSN, and I'm Mr. NETSN. And so I'm going to go with Coach McGee and the Cayuga squad to get the win. I went with him last week. Coach Baker's squad got him, but I think he gets his first district win this week. I'm going with Cayuga. All right. We go to our third game in that district. The Frankston Indians, they play Kearns, and man, oh man, another big one. Kearns and Frankston, a combined one loss between the two teams in this game.
And it ain't Frankston.
It ain't Frankston. And that means I'm going with the Frankston Indians. I'm not going against Coach Gold and what he's got going on there. Impressive win over Mildred this week. I think they're in control of that district, and they keep kind of making themselves known in that district with the win over Kearns in this one. All right, Jeremy, who you got?
Listen, I'm just glad somebody before the season started said Kearns, because I would have said Karens, and that would have been bad, and it just wouldn't have been good, right? But no, in all seriousness, both teams are really good teams. Like, take nothing away from Kearns. They've had a great season start. But give me Frankston, give me the Indians. I'm going to go with both Indian squads winning this week, and I've got no doubt I'm going to come away with both of those correct.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not even going to make this one a tough, long, drawn-out thing. I'm taking Coach Paul Gold and the Frankston Indians. I think they did it last week. We thought Mildred was going to give them a tough run for their money, and Frankston made light work of them. I think, no disrespect to Kearns, I just think Frankston is the team of this. They are the Carthage of this district, I think, and I think they roll through this district pretty handily. So give me the Frankston Indians.
That's a pretty big statement. The Carthage is okay. I like that, KO.
I have respect for the Frankston Indians over there. Love Coach Gould and what he's doing.
All right. Game 4. The Timpson Bears and the Shelbyville Dragons. This is actually a Thursday game. We'll have this game on NETSN. Man, I mentioned earlier, this is going to be a offensive battle. I have seen Timpson in person this year, and I've seen what they've got. They've got a great 1-2 punch from their tailback and quarterback. They like to keep the ball on the ground, and they run the rock, guys. And I think they've got probably a little bit better defense than Shelbyville. So I'm going to take the Timpson Bears to win a shootout game over there in this one. What you got, KO?
Yeah, I think Shelbyville they've played some tough competition. Troop, Wascom, Mount Enterprise, Garrison, Carlisle, New Boston. Like, they've played some really, really tough competition. I think strength of schedule wise, Shelbyville has had the tougher schedule, but Timpson hasn't played slouches with Lovelady, Westwood, Wolf City, Hooks. I think Timpson's the better team, though. I'm gonna take the Timpson Bears to win this one. I think it's close, and I think there's a lot of points scored, but I'm taking Timpson.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I think the over-under here is probably 90 at least, right? I think it's one of those games.
Give me the over.
I'm gonna go, yeah, give me the over all day. I'm going to go with the Timpson Bears as well. I just think they've got enough defense to slow down Shelbyville, and then I think their rushing attack is going to give that defense fit. So,
all right,
Jeremy, we're supposed to be picking different. I can't pull away from you if we pick the same game.
This might be strategic. No, I'm just kidding.
Game 5, the St. Augustine Wolves with a big matchup against the Garrison Bulldogs. Man, this one would be tough. Jeremy, I'm going to throw this one to you first. What are you thinking here? St. Augustine, Garrison, both 4-2. Who you got?
Yeah, I have no idea. Hold on, let me flip my coin real quick. Man, this is the hardest. I mean, again, I haven't seen every single one, but the ones I've looked through quickly, I think this is probably the hardest of the pick'ems. As far as I think this one is literally going to come down to, I mean, you've got a Garrison team that's lost to ARP and Lovelady, right? And then you're rolling with St. Augustine, who has losses to Westwood and to Carlisle. And so, man, I'm going to go solely on the fact that it's a home game. I'm going to go with the Garrison Bulldogs as the home team in a tight. I'm going to say it's 3 points.
Ooh, KO.
This one's tough. I'm with Jeremy here on this. Is so far, I haven't looked through the rest of them, but so far this is the toughest game to pick. I like what St. Augustine's doing. We've talked about them earlier. Like, I think they're a really, really good football team. Garrison has looked good in spurts. I mean, I saw them against ARP and they did not look good. And that was the one time I saw them in person. And the one time I saw St. Augustine in person, they also turned the ball over 5 times. So I guess they didn't look very good either. So this is extremely difficult.
That makes it tough for you because you've seen both teams, but neither team really played well. So
no, right. If you're going off history, Garrison has recently been the better team these past few years. I just feel like this district is kind of up for grabs. I don't think there's a clear favorite in this district, which I think plays into St. Augustine's hands. If they can play a clean football game, I think St. Augustine wins. So the question is, do I think they can play a clean football game? You know what? I've talked myself into it. Give me the Wolves. Give me St. Augustine.
Okay.
Give me the Wolves. I'm sorry,
man.
Coach Alvarez. I still love you.
A Christmas card for you, sir.
Man, this one is tough. Man, if St. Augustine somehow was to win and they beat Joaquin and Garrison to start district play, I mean, man, it'd be sitting pretty. The only thing is, Garrison, I don't think they played well last week. They only beat Shelbyville by 2. I don't think that they're going to be very happy with that win, and they're going to be angry. It's at home, and so I'm going to stick with Garrison because of what they've done, recently. The fact that St. Augustine lost to Carlisle and turned the ball over that many times, and it was a Carlisle team that wasn't fully healthy. You can't be a team to turn the ball over against a Garrison team that likes to control the ball with Yarbrough and company and kind of ball control. So I'm going to go with Garrison. I don't feel great about it. I think this is a coin flip game, but I'm going to go with the team that I know, and that's what I've seen, and it's Garrison. I haven't seen St. Augustine really this year, so I'm going to go with Garrison. Game 6.
There's my game. There's my game. I can gain one. There it is.
Or lose another one, whichever.
Yeah.
Gain one.
Game 6. The district title on the line in Carthage as Athens and Carthage battle. Just give me Carthage. Carthage by, I think it'll be closer than in years past. I think Athens is still a really good team, but I still think it's Carthage by a few scores. KO.
Carthage by as much as they want. I mean, I think Athens is much improved, and I think they're clearly the second best team in this district. I don't think they're on Carthage's level yet. The thing is, we saw this with Chapel Hill. You have to play 4 quarters of perfect football to beat Carthage. You can't play a half. You can't play 3 quarters. You have to play 4 quarters of perfect football in order to beat Carthage. And I haven't seen a team do that yet. So until I see someone do it, I can't pick against Carthage Bulldogs. Can't do it.
All right. Jeremy?
Man, Athens is a really, 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 really good second place team. But they're not Carthage, right? I mean, this is no slight to Athens. They just have to be stuck in a district with a team like Carthage, right? That's really the problem. If it were anybody else, probably we're going to pick Athens to win. But give me Carthage, give me the Bulldogs, give me Coach Surratt and the 10 rings. He's the Lord of the Rings. So give me Carthage.
All right. Game 7, the Bullard Panthers travel to the center to face the Rough Riders. Man, this one's interesting. Like, before the season, if I had this game on my schedule, I'd have taken center 10 out of 10 times, but center has not looked good this year. They've got 2 wins over a Jacksonville team, which has Jacksonville won a game yet?
No.
Okay. And then Spring Hill. They're not what you call a real powerhouse in football.
But who have they lost to?
They've lost to Carthage, Madisonville, Dangerfield, and North DeSoto. Okay. The Dangerfield
all
one,
good teams.
Dangerfield wouldn't surprise me just because Dangerfield is a whole classification below. So that wouldn't surprise me. The North DeSoto one, they're always a tough team. The Madisonville one, a little surprising as well. Obviously, Carthage, not surprising. Then you look at Bullard. They've beaten Maybank, Teague, and Rusk. Don't really feel.
Maybank has one win. Rusk has no wins.
Yeah,
I think maybe has 2.
I don't feel good about either one of these teams. I think this is probably for your 3rd and 4th place, unfortunately. But I'm going to go with center. It is at home. I think they've played tougher competition. So based on that, I'm going to go with center. But I think it's closer than it has been in a while between these. I think the gap is not as big as it has been with these 2 teams. What do you think, Jeremy?
Man, I'm kind of looking at this one. I've gone back and forth. I think Bullard's coming around, which is probably helpful for them. They've kind of won the last couple of games. It was a big win again at homecoming, but it's in center. I think that makes a difference. Man, I don't know. Give me Bullard and the Shocker.
Oh,
This will be my one to try to gain ground. Give me Bullard and a Shocker.
Okay. KO.
Or lose. I'm taking the center Rough Riders in this one. I was going to take center before Jeremy made his pick, but now that just solidified it. I do think that center's got more athletes, though, and they're at home. I'm glad Bullard's picked up 3 wins this year. They've had some rough seasons these past few years, so I'm happy to see them pick up some wins. I just think, like you said, centers played tougher competition. Granted, they're on a 4-game losing streak. I get it, but the teams they've lost to are all playoff caliber teams. I can't say the same thing about the teams that Bullard has beaten or lost to. So I think I'm going to take the center Rough Riders in this one.
Okay. Game 8, the Gilmer Buckeyes and the Van Vandals in a game probably for that second spot in that district. Now that obviously we still have Pittsburgh, will have to play Van, so that's still up in the air. But as of right now, whoever wins this game has got a good spot to get that second place spot. It's in Van. Man, this one's tough. Kyle, what do you think? You've seen Van. What did I know? I think you want to pick, but I'm not sure.
I don't know what Gilmer team we're getting. Like, that's the thing. Are we going to get the Gilmer team that lost to Lindell? Because if that's the case, then I'm picking Van, because Van nearly beat Lindell on the road. Now, I get it was a rivalry game, but they nearly won. So if we're going off
12-point spread to a 7-point spread, so not too bad. Now, the home and road is probably a difference too, but not too totally different,
No, but it looked different. That Gilmer scored late in that Lindell game to make it look closer than it really was. I think Lindell pretty much dominated that game. The Lindell-Van game was back and forth. You didn't know last team with the ball was going to get the win. Gilmer looked good Friday, right? They looked good against Pittsburgh, picked up a huge win. I think they're trending in the right direction now. I think they got some things fixed and that they can build on. This Van team is no slouch, though. This Van team is a really, really good football team.
Let me give you a comparison right here, Colin. Maybe it'll help you out. Okay, we got Gilmer and Van have a common opponent of Pine Tree. Okay, they both played Pine Tree. They both lost to Pine Tree. Van lost by 17. Or excuse me, Pine Tree both beat them. Excuse me. Sorry, let's flip. So there was a point differential.
That's also not right. They both beat them.
Yeah, correct. Yes, what I'm saying. I see L, but I'm on Pine Tree's schedule. My fault.
Okay.
But I'm giving you point differentials. What I was going for here. A 16-point win for Gilmer and a 17-point win for Van.
That was supposed to help me, Brett.
Well, I'm just saying that's how this pick is.
Help me?
Yeah, this is how close of a pick this one is. Pine Tree played Gilmer at home. They played Van on the road. So I think this is another coin flip game that makes you want to pull your hair out there, Kyle, looks like.
All right.
And you have to go first. That's the hard part here, huh?
I haven't seen Gilmer this year, but I have seen Van. Dude, if Gilmer would have lost last week to Pittsburgh, this would be an easy pick for me. But Gilmer winning last week has really thrown a wrench into all this.
The game is in Van.
Yeah, give me Moffitt and the Vandals. I'm taking Van. I think it's going to be a very, very good game, very tight game, but I'm going to take the Vandals. I don't feel great about it. All
right, Jeremy.
Give me the Vandals.
Okay.
I think the home team wins this one. I think Van gets it. I think Gilmer's better than we thought based on the early, what the early look was. But I think Van, they can just score a bunch of points. They did it against Lindell, and we've seen how good Lindell is and how good their defense has been since that game. And so I'm going to take the Van Vandals.
Yeah, this one is tough as well. I mean, I picked Gilmer last week. I just thought they were a better team than Pittsburgh. I feel like they're the third best team in this district to me. I just don't think they're as good as Van. And just looking at the schedule, Van has lost to Lindale and Sunnyvale. Both really good teams. Gilmer, some of those losses, they lost to some good teams, but they lost really bad, like really bad to some good teams. The Brenham game still confuses me. I'm not sure how good they are, but that one was a very, very big loss for them. I'm going to take, if this game was in Gilmer, I probably would take Gilmer. But since it's in Van, I'm going with the home team. I'm going with the Van Vandals to get the win. I think they take control of the second spot there in that district. Game 9, the Pine Tree Pirates and the Henderson Lions, a game that could be for the last spot in district. Huge game, huge, probably the biggest game of the Coach Meeks era so far for him. Man, Jeremy, I'm gonna let you pick this one first. I'm gonna give KO
easy pick for me. Give me Coach Meeks and the Lions by 20.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I don't think this one's very close. I think Henderson is a really good football team. The only time they've been slowed down this year was by Kilgore. Other than that, they put up points at will. So give me Henderson.
Okay, that was a lot. I thought you guys would struggle that a little more. I've got Henderson too. I think they're the fourth best team in this district. I think it's going to be them and Chapel Hill is going to be an interesting matchup for those third and fourth spots. But right now, I think Pine Tree, they just lost a lot, and I think they're still a really good team. And in any other district, they probably make the playoffs, but not in this one. I think the Henderson Lions are going to get back in the playoffs. Coach Meeks in his first season is going to have them back rolling in the playoffs. Game 10, Kyle, the red zone game of the week, maybe?
Yes. Easy pick. Easy pick for this one.
Okay. All right. Easy one this week. Since we all know who you're going to pick, we'll just go to you first, KO.
Look, I don't even have to say nothing. Just. Oh well, that's not going to work. Give me my Lindale Eagles. All right.
Give this man. Okay, anyone out there in Lindale, give this man a new Lindale shirt. Come on.
No kidding. That thing is old and raggedy.
KO. What
21.
year? 21, 22.
4 years old.
Man, somebody. This man gives Lindale Eagles. Yeah, they give Lindale.
It's not even the right sport, right season. I mean, come on.
He gives Lindale Eagles love on this show all the time. Come on, somebody out there that's in Lindale. Jake, are you watching? Somebody give this guy a new Lindale shirt. He needs one.
Coach Cochran, I'll take a polo. I'll take anything. But no, listen. I'm gonna do what Brett didn't do last week, and I'm gonna stick with my alma mater, and I'm gonna pick my Lindale Eagles to.
You're just mad because I picked who I thought was gonna win. You didn't gain an extra pick on me, KO.
Listen, and maybe I don't gain one this week. It's very possible Lindale could lose this game, but I think these two teams are very evenly matched this year. I think that they're clearly the two top teams in the district. They've beaten the other team that we thought would be the top team in Chapel Hill. So just a little history though here. I played Kilgore my junior year. We played Kilgore, went into Kilgore, and beat them 35-17. Huge win, big win for Lindale that year. We
KO stats. What's KO stats line for that?
I carried the ball 2 times at the end of the game to run out the clock. Coach Metter said, "Don't fumble. Whatever you do, don't fumble." And so I held on 2 hands and only got like 2 yards.
Okay.
Then senior year, we lost 55-44 at home to Kilgore. But my point being now, and then they didn't play for a decade. They said, KO graduated. We're not going to play Lindale Kilgore for a decade. Then 2020 started. Here, listen to these scores. Now, Lindale won in 2020 both matchups, 47-40 in the regular season, 56-42 in the postseason.
That was the year they went 8, right? Didn't they go?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then Kilgore has won the last 5 games against Lindale. But listen to these scores. It's never – you think Kilgore, you think defense, right? Not when they play Lindale. 21, 65-58. 22, 49-35. 22 in the playoffs, 63-37. 23, 64-29. Last year, 42-21. So I don't think this game's going to be a defensive battle. I think it's going to be another Lindale Van type game where Lindale's going to have to outscore Kilgore, and they're going to need to get a stop at some point. And I said this on Overtime the other night. I think these two teams are so evenly matched, it's going to come down to a special teams play. We saw in the Lindale Van game, Lindale got a kick return for a touchdown that kind of turned that game around for the Eagles. I think it's going to take something like that, a blocked field goal, a punt return, a kick return, something in the special teams game to get an edge for either one of these teams. But I think if Lindale's going to get this win, they're going to have to make a play in special teams to do that. And I think that Kilgore has the weapons, right? The thing that's been a problem for Lindale has been the deep ball. We saw, again, I'm going back to the Van game. It's the only game that I saw them in person in, but I'm sure you saw it in Chapel Hill too. They get beat over the top more than I would like to see from a defense, right? So what is Kilgore really good at? Running the football, one, but also they have Casey Brooks and LaKeon Graves on the outside that they can throw it up to. And he makes a 50-50 jump ball more of a 70-30 for him. Like, he is a stud on the outside. So my concern as a Lindale fan is, can the Eagles kind of put an umbrella on top of the defense and not get beat?
McGrow does a good job of that in the secondary.
He does, but he can only do one side of the field. Can't cover both sides, right? So I think that's going to be kind of something to watch. But also, like you mentioned earlier, Jeremy, the defensive line for Lindale is stout. And if that defensive line can get back there and put pressure on Casey Brooks, get him off his mark where he's now scrambling and trying to make plays happen with his legs, I think Lindale's gonna do really well. So I'm taking the Eagles. Go Birds. Think it's gonna be a really close game.
All right.
And I can't go on the Kilgore sideline Friday now. So there's that.
Yeah. I think my only concern with Lindale is they're still pretty one-dimensional offensively, and that defensive line for Kilgore is really, really good. And I think if they can slow down Hank the Tank Thurman, I think they're going to make life tougher for Lindale. Not that Lindig can't throw, not that Lindig can't run, but you and I both know, or all three of us know, they prefer to put the ball on the ground, and they prefer to just run it down your throat. But if that's not successful, I think they're going to struggle a little bit. And I think, like you said, Kilgore can go through the air. They can run it on the ground. I'm going to take Kilgore in a close one. But I think it's going to be a fantastic game. Like, I'm excited for you to be there for the game of the week and excited to see some highlights from that game. But I'm going to go with the Kilgore Bulldogs.
Yeah, and we've seen Lindale a few times, and Jeremy's right. The games that we've seen them, they mix in the pass, but it's not. They don't do a whole lot. It's short passes. It's little small, dip and dunk things. It's not anything crazy. So I'll be interested to see if they are forced to. If Kilgore gets ahead and they're forced to do more, where they can't just run it, and they do a great job of running it right through between the tackles. And I don't know if that's going to be is easy against a team like Kilgore with that front seven that they've got. So that's my interesting matchup. I think that Lindale does have the advantage. It is at home, but Kilgore is they're just tough, man. I think it's going to be a close game, and I'm going to go with the Kilgore Bulldogs in this one.
I do want to mention one thing. We talked about Lindale's passing. Going back to the Van game, David Lindig had over 300 total yards, only 94 rushing, 207 passing. And then Hank the Tank had 189 yards and two touchdowns on the ground. So, like, to your point, though, they can throw the ball. It's not like but Kilgore's defense is set up in a way where they can make you one-dimensional. They're going to take something away. I don't think Lindale's going to be able to run at will or throw at will. They're going to try and take something away. Will Lindale have a counter for that is, I think, a big key to that, too.
Well, and I think Lindale's passing game is predicated off the success of their running game, right? Because
Sure.
One of their big plays, we used to call it tight end pop, right? Like, it looks like play action. The tight end comes off like he's blocking, and then he releases, and what you get is you get two guys on the outside running go routes, and so the safeties naturally roll there, and then you got the middle of the field wide open, right? I think but if you're not having success running the ball, that play action doesn't bring those linebackers up. And so I think that's my only concern is you're going to have to get some running success. Not that, and again, I think Lindig can throw the ball well. It's not that. I just think that they're most effective when the run game gets going and then they pass off of the run game, where other teams want to pass and then they run to keep teams honest. Their foundation is really running. Now, if they can get some good zone reads with Lindig and if he can get some good pulls and get to the edge, I think they're going to have an effective night. I think that's the game within the game, though, is can they be effective on the ground to open up the pass?
It's not sexy, it's not pretty, but it's going to be one in the trenches, like we talked about on both sides of the ball. Lindale needs to run the football. How do you do that? You blast off on the offensive line and create holes. So, but the counter to that, Kilgore's got a really strong defensive line. Then you flip it, the strength of Lindale's defense is their defensive line, and that is going to have they're going to have to cause chaos and havoc in order, I think, to slow down Kilgore too. So yeah, it's going to be one in the trenches, but the athletes on the outside are going to get the glory and the shine, but it's going to be won or lost in the trenches.
All right, well, that's the pick'em games. Let's kind of go through some other ones. An important game for the Brook Hill Guard this week. They host Arlington Grace Prep. Coming in, Grace Prep's 5-1. This game is most likely, if Brook Hill can get this game and get the win, and give them a chance to not be that 4th seed. If they lose this one, they're probably going to be at best a 4th seed in that district and end up playing Fort Worth All Saints. So I think this is a big game for Coach Ryle and the Brook Hill Guard. Another home game. They've had like 2 or 3 in a row, I think, as they kind of will close the season on the road. So a big game for them. Talked about Tyler
earlier, but White House NAC's a big one.
Yeah,
for White House to have a chance, and I think White House has made some changes. I know I watched a little bit of that game, and they had JoJo Adams out on the outside and didn't have him at quarterback, and I think that helped a little bit. And so if they can keep going with that, I think that's a big game though for both teams. I think NAC, it really solidifies them in a good spot, and for White House, it keeps hopes alive for a playoff berth.
Kyle, you mentioned Tyler High earlier. They got a game against Burleson Centennial, possible able to lock up a playoff spot. So a big game for them on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to stay in that same district, that 5A D2 district. That Mount Pleasant Texas High game is intriguing because Mount Pleasant, going into district play, all their non-district opponents were undefeated. So they had probably the toughest schedule in Texas in non-district. And then the way they played against Marshall, to keep it that close with Marshall, and the way that Marshall played Texas High, it's not out of the realm of possibility for Coach Cluley and the Tigers to go up to Texarkana and pick up a win there. And if they do that, that shakes this whole district up. So I think that's a very intriguing matchup. And again, it's kind of like the Carthage thing. Mount Pleasant's going to have to play a perfect game. But I think that Coach Cluley has them – they're not as bad as their record looks. I don't think. I think they're a lot better than their record shows.
Their travel's not as far either because they're already a little bit up
right. They're already up there in the Northeast Texas. Yeah.
Troop New Diana, a game we'll have on NETSN where Jeremy and I will be Friday night in New Diana. Get to see Troop for the first time this year, so get our eyes on them. Big game for New Diana as they're trying to maybe knock somebody off. Can they catch Troop on an off night at home and put a win on the board? But should be an interesting game there. Let's see.
Paris and Sulphur Springs is a big one.
Okay.
Again, they're a little bit north of us, but man, you got Sulphur at 5-1, Paris at 5-2, right? That's going to have some implications for seeding and some of that stuff. And so that's a shout out for Jaron. I'm throwing in his North teams a little bit for him there, but I think that's a big game, for both of those schools.
I think that's probably for 3rd and 4th. I would imagine. Yeah. In that district.
And we mentioned it earlier, I believe it's on NETSN, that Tatum Gladewater game is a big game, I think. Gladewater needs to keep their momentum rolling as they barrel towards that Atlanta matchup. And if you're Tatum, this is the opportunity to get a win that maybe you didn't expect to get, or not them expect to get, but maybe other people didn't expect you to get, and can really shake that district up. So that's a big game Friday too.
Yeah, this is a totally different game than last year. We did the game last year in Tatum, and that was more for like who's going to get in the playoffs. Now Gladewater's established themselves, and we thought this game might be for that again. And Gladewater's like, nope, we're looking for something bigger. Tatum, if they could steal one here, would do a lot for them trying to get into that 4th spot. See, we got Lufkin back in play. They will be in Baytown Sterling on Friday night. So
I'm concerned about Lufkin. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm concerned about Lufkin. I think the district is a lot better than it was last year. And I don't think Lufkin is as good as they were last year. So I think they still probably make the playoffs, but I think they're probably looking at a 3 or 4 seed as opposed to district champs like they were last year. So I'm concerned about Lufkin. Hopefully they can come out Friday and play well.
We got another, if you're looking for another Kagan Ash sighting, we will have him again on NETSN as Larry will be in Tenaha on Friday. as Mount Enterprise looks to continue rolling as they play a 1-6 Tenaha team. And I suspect he'll be finding the end zone quite frequently in this one.
Yeah, after the game, Coach Ponder was talking to the team, and I didn't know this. Maybe y'all knew this. Coach Ponder went to Tenaha. He is a former Tenaha Tiger. He was the first. He claims this, and he says that it's factual. We can look it up. He was the first inductee into the Tenaha Athletic Hall of Fame, Coach Scott Ponder. So, and right after that, he said, so I want to put 100 up on him next week. So,
okay.
I think the Kagan Nash experience will be in full effect in Tenaha, and Larry's going to have a good time.
100 on NETSN, that would be something.
And we're not playing basketball. This is a football game.
That's interesting. Let's see what else we got here. Going down through here. All Saints Gorman. I mean, it is what it is. It's a nice little Tyler, private school rivalry over in All Saints. So don't know how the game will be, but that's always a fun one for those two teams to go at it.
Hey, I want to give a shout to a team up north in Hopkins County, the Como-Picton Eagles. I know they lost last week to Cooper, 21-14, but Como-Picton's 4-2 this year, and they have been through some absolute turmoil these past 3 or 4 seasons. If you remember, a couple of years ago, that tornado came through the Como-Picton area and tore their field up. They had to play all their home games in Winsboro that year. They've been through like 3 coaching changes within the past 3 seasons. Just a lot of turnover, a lot of turmoil there. And now they're sitting at 4-2 with the chance, if they could beat Paul Pewitt this week, a chance to get into the playoffs. So Great story up there in Como-Picton.
That's awesome. It's awesome. A game we mentioned a little bit earlier, Dangerfield will travel to Hooks in what will be a good district matchup there in Hooks. And it'd be interesting to see. Hooks likes to score a lot of points too, so there could be a lot of points in this one. Just going to throw it out there.
May look like a basketball game on Friday night between those two.
Very, very possible. Let's see what else we got. I think that's pretty much all the games that we have. We're still hitting those. Now we're at the point where, I think like a big Sandy's district, they're on a bye. The 8-team districts have taken the week off, so we'll find we'll have nobody playing that district. That they need a break after all the ups and downs, I think, going on so far.
And you got Alto Love Lady. That's
Love
Lady's undefeated. Alto's, I think they're sitting 3rd in the district, so that'll be a good one. A big one for Alto.
Yeah, and how well Overton played Love Lady last week. It'll be interesting to see how comparative, because I feel like Overton and Alto are maybe that fourth, fifth team. So how does
I don't think Overton and Alto are that close. I think Overton's a clear better team.
Okay. Well, I mean, this is what I can tell you. See how close maybe they can play with Love Lady.
And what my fear for Love Lady is, and for Mount Enterprise, but don't overlook this, because next week Love Lady travels to Mount Enterprise. Ooh. So yeah. So I don't want either team to overlook their opponent this week, because we're staring down a 7-0 matchup.
Yeah, I think next NETSN needs to figure out a way to get to that one next week.
There is a film deck, not a big stadium, but there is a film deck in the press box. Just saying.
Man. Whew. Okay. Well, that's some good games this week, guys. I mean, I think what's getting fun now is we're starting to be able to really figure out what teams are for real. Couple of district, either a district game or a couple of district games in, kind of be able to tell, okay, this team's they've started off the district well. They're in good position. You got some teams that haven't started off. Can they make that, late surge to try to get up into the playoff spots? And with having 4 teams make it, most districts, that's more than half. And so a good opportunity to make the playoffs still. And most teams still can control their own destiny. We've had a lot of surprises. What's you guys' biggest team that surprised you, either where they are or where they're not right now? You got one that sticks out?
I mentioned Como-Picton.
I think Elysian Fields, to me, where they are before the season starts. We didn't even have Elysian Fields, I think, picked to be in the playoffs, and now they are controlling that district. I think they're and been impressive, because I've got to see them in person. Got to visit with Coach Maines a little bit, and It's just an awesome story. He had a lot of guys that weren't in the program before he took the job, and he's able to recruit some guys that weren't playing football at all. Like they were seniors and they weren't playing football, got them back into the program. I think that's really helped them get started quickly, getting back into Elysian Fields tradition. They've traditionally been a really good program. Well, that's the one for me that sticks out just off the top of my head.
I think Gladewater, I think that's a great story, right? And again, not because they didn't have talent, but you've got a first-year head coach, right? First-time head coach. And so what is that going to look like? And so I think their story has been really awesome. Just a feel-good story of a team that's really played well. And I think that's a tribute to Coach Lewis and his ability to rally those guys and get them to buy in and believe in what they're doing. And so I think that's my big, team that's really done something really well.
I think a surprise at the start of the year was Beckville, right? Like the way that they started, it seems like they've turned some things around now. But I think early on, especially that week 1 loss, which I guess doesn't look as bad now, a 19-0 loss to St. Augustine, like you kind of looked at that like, well, is this the same Beckville team that we're getting? And now Coach Ross has found something. They're kind of turning into that same old Beckville team that we've seen. So I think that was a surprise at the start of the year. But yeah, y'all both mentioned Elysian Fields, Gladewater. I think
Frankston's another one.
Frankston is kinda.
But
I guess they're better than I anticipated. I thought they would be good, but not this good.
Yeah, I think they're one that's like came out and just have been gangbustery good. I think Mount Enterprise, maybe. Maybe we
they had 20 people coming back though. So,
but they've been just rolling off points left and right against a really good competition in front of them. So I think they're a team.
I think Malakov's early stumble was a surprise.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw that coming. Again, I think they were kind of rounding back around again, but I think that was surprising for a team that's been so consistent and dominant. That their early struggles, I had them highly ranked in my poll to start the year, and they kind of fell out from the top 4 or 3 and have kind of plummeted out of my poll, and they could have a chance to get back in. But I think that was a team I didn't see coming.
Yeah. Nacogdoches with a freshman quarterback at 5-1, like that is awesome for them because Nac had a lot of people coming back as well. But we always talk about this: if you have a lot of people coming back from a bad team, what does that really mean? You know what I mean? And they went 3-7 last year, but with this freshman quarterback, they have sparked some energy on that side. Micah Lockett on the outside, your defending high jump champion for 5A. He's on the outside going up and getting jump balls. The defense is playing well. Like this Nacogdoches team has been a pleasant surprise this year too.
Yeah, it's been a good season. We've had some. I like it when teams that have struggled are able to kind of get back in the mix, and I think we've had a lot of that, and I think that's made it interesting. And it's made some of these districts turn into like, well, we thought we had our 4 teams. Well, now there's this 5th team coming. We've talked about it numerous times with some. You've got, St. Augustine, that team that they've just made a big win over Joaquin. Now they're kind of in the mix there. The Elysian Fields, Beckville, that district's just all in chaos. You got the Carlisle district with all, like, I think that's what makes it fun is because you have to be at your best every single night because one game can cost you a playoff spot or a seed, but now you've got to play a tougher team round 1 than you would have to play if you didn't slip up. And so that seeding is just as important too, because when we've talked about it, if you get stuck in that 4th spot, now you're going to have to go travel and play a state ranked opponent across the other side that you don't want to play. If you get that 3rd spot, now maybe you have an easier path. And so that path really is interesting, especially in football with the way the classifications are split up.
It matters. It matters where you go into the playoffs.
Okay, Colin, you're going to be at Kilgore-Lindale. We mentioned that. Yep. And then Jeremy and I are going to be in New Diana for that Troop New Diana game. I'm again excited to see Coach Wells.
You're going to like that Troop team.
Troop Tigers, yeah.
Troop team's fun.
But that's did we mention all the games? I think we have Center Bullard. We mentioned that game, but the center guys will have that one. Another big matchup. We've got some games this week that may not be like, the best as far as like 2 teams that are 7-0, but we got some interesting matchups, some ones that are important in the class of the district standing and the things. And so I'm excited that it's hard to judge, when you put your big schedule out, how many of these games are going to matter coming down to this point. And I think we've got some that matter this week. And so I'm excited about that. But, all right. Any final thoughts? Start with you, Jeremy.
Yeah, but I think it's just again. I think we talked about it a couple. It feels like this season is flying by, but we're getting to that part of the season. It's just a whole lot of fun, right? As the playoff picture begins to shake out, and so I'm looking forward to these big matchups. And again, what team is going to come out of kind of seemingly nowhere, right? There's going to be a team that probably surprises us in the next couple of weeks, and so what team's going to play spoiler, and what team's going to continue their dominance as they move into the playoff region.
Kale?
I think we still don't know what a lot of these teams are. Like, and I know it's crazy to say going into week 8, but I mean, just like Gilmer, like they were down and out early on, and then they come out and get a big win over Pittsburgh. I mean, it's just you don't really know what you're getting right now from these teams week in and week out. There's some consistent ones, sure, but I think that's what's exciting about it. It seems like there's a lot of parity, more parity this year than maybe in years past in a lot of these districts. So I think it's going to be a fun race to see who ends up where. And yeah, y'all mentioned it. There are some huge games this week that will go a long way to the seeding for the playoffs. So these games, each week, these games are just going to get bigger and bigger.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Beast from the East. For Jeremy Diamond, Mr. Red Zone OT, K.O. Kyle Owens, I'm Mr. NETSN, Brett Swinney, signing off for the evening. Good luck in your pick'ems and all your teams this week. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week right here on Beast from the East. Good night, everybody.
The Northeast Texas Sports Network is dedicated on delivering the most entertaining sports broadcasts in East Texas. And if you're interested in having your next sporting event streamed live, visit us online at